Welcome back to Make Me a Fan. I'm the Jag.
I'm Pete.
And today we continue. Yes, we continue. We are still doing the underrated Extravaganza. Why? Because we're safe at home. We're sheltering in place. There's no live wrestling to go see. So we have to go digging through the crates, digging through the old stuff to find the jewels, to find the amazing stuff that maybe you haven't seen before, maybe you haven't seen in a while. You need to be reminded, we're going to do the work for you. Yes. We're going to show you what's hot, what's not, and what's next. And what's next for us today is a match between two people that I could never in my life consider to be underrated. Encyclopedia.
Yes, sir.
Would you please educate the masses?
Absolutely. So we are digging back into the 2002s.
Yes. Okay.
And we're going to go to No Mercy. And we're going to see Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker.
Two prolific and gifted individuals that I could never think are anything remotely underrated because the Undertaker is the phenom. He's the man. Brock Lesnar came in through the door, kicked in the door.
And this is going to be American Badass.
Oh, okay, all right. So here's the deal, people. This is how this works. In the description, there is a link to the WWE Network, to this specific match. You're going to click that link, you're going to watch the match, and you're going to pause this video because we're going to go watch this right now. We're going to come back and tell you what we think, Encyclopedia.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it is possible that this match is indeed underrated?
I think it's just about right.
All right, we're going to find out, and we're going to hit that button right about now. Now, I missed the big evil phase of The Undertaker.
Oh, for sure.
And this was an interesting peek or glimpse, if you will, into that part of the dead man's career.
Absolutely.
It was a hell of a match. Good story. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the wife pregnant, yada, yada. I don't know. But they hate each other and they're going to fight. Damn it, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, they wanted to get in the cage and they they're the bleeding.
That's one thing I didn't know is this is a Hell in a Cell. And everybody was bleeding except the referee. Paul Heyman was bleeding. Brock Lesnar was bleeding.
It's like everybody's bleeding except for the referee.
Exactly.
That's any color. That's okay. He hits him with the stairs and comes back up.
Yeah, really. That was a Pete observation. Hell, Brock threw the stairs. It could have hit the referee. You never know. Next thing you know, he's gushing, right? Bleeding like you wouldn't believe. But Taker, of course, is Taker. We saw the last ride, which we haven't seen in a while. Choke slam. Tombstone was in position until Brock reversed it. Brock is a hell of an athlete. Hell of a physical specimen, even more intimidating back then. Heyman's doing his thing, always great on the microphone. This time he was interfering even from the outside of the cage, so that was a cool manager study, I guess. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, what did you think?
Imagine a decade later, Undertaker ultimately helped cement both of them in WWE Universal history. I mean, just because, like, he's the guy that beat the streak.
Yeah.
No one else will ever do it. No one else will ever reach this level or pinnacle again. He's now in the Hulk Hogan stratosphere.
Yeah.
Where he's an attraction, and that's exactly what Brock is. He comes and he shows up and he kicks ass and he takes names, and then he goes away and comes back and fights whenever.
And I like Brock, don't get me wrong. I feel like he's not consistent. Of course, he did kill it earlier this year at the Rumble, and he was around, I think, for a lot of weeks after the Rumble. I hated WrestleMania.
So again, I think that if you can kind of shift into my thinking of this, is he's now an attraction.
Yeah.
And so he can just kind of show up, especially now that he's not the champion. He can just show up whenever. So if there's a show at some point down the road in a year where, like, it's Saudi Arabia, he might show up for that. Because, hey, you know what? It's a great payday. It's a show I want to do, and it's going to be fun.
Well, and when I say I hated WrestleMania, it's not that I hated Brock appearing on WrestleMania. I hated the match.
Sure.
It was two moves, really. A German suplex and F5. That's all he did.
Okay.
Which I know Brock is that's kind of his MO now, right? Suplex City, blah, blah, blah. But we saw a lot more from Brock in this match. Where's this Brock?
I think different times, different situation. I think it's the smart move was send home with a good feel. When
you tell Vince McMahon how it's going to be, and Vince agrees, you can do whatever the hell you want in the ring. Hey, Vince, I want this much money. Here you go, pal. Hey, Vince, every time I go anywhere, you're flying me first class and you're paying for it. No problem, pal. You know? Hey, Vince. You know what I mean? Like,
but I mean, I think he's earned that spot. I was going to say, Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30 really cemented, like, he could do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He's an absolute monster.
Was that when he beat Taker? Was 30? 6 years ago? 6 years ago. Son of a biscuit. Yeah. Well, time flies when you're having fun. And this,
this is a phenomenal run. Like, now that I look back at Brock Lesnar coming back, like, he's had an amazing, 6 or 7 year run, and I think it's an evolution, because when he left, he wanted to get beyond wrestling. He was the last person cut before the start of the NFL season. So he almost made an NFL team with zero effort. Then went into the MMA world and proved he's a legit, pure sport athlete.
Yeah. I think it was important for him to have that credibility beyond college wrestling. College wrestling, that's still a hell of an accomplishment.
Of course,
to being an NCAA champion, Hall of Fame, the guy is no slouch, just right there. But he wanted something beyond wrestling, like you said, and a hell of a way to do it is to go become the UFC World Champion. Yeah. And he did it with,
especially that we talked about it off camera, but 265 is the weight, is it. You can't weigh more than that and be the heavyweight champion. So for a guy like Brock, that is some intense work for him to get under 265 to be the heavyweight champion. So.
And he did it, and he did well. He's a piss poor striker, but he was able to make it on his wrestling and his grappling, so kudos to him. I mean, people forget, and this is not to crap on Brock, I talked about this on Jack's Jab, people forget that Brock was not this world-beating machine in the UFC.
Right.
He lost his first match to Frank Mir in a freaking knee bar. You know what I mean? So this wrestling genius gets knee barred in his first match. He got touched up by Shane Carwin. He got touched up by old boy who he wrestled, or who helped Rey Mysterio, whatever his name is. I forget his name. He got touched up with the hands with Shane Carwin, touched up by a few different guys, to the point where he looked like he was going to get knocked silly. Mark Hunt touched him up a bit. The guy, I mean, he basically wrestled and held people down.
Sure.
And I think he has one knockout victory in the whole thing. But play to your strengths, man. We went from old school UFC, where it was all striking and Chuck the Iceman Liddell punching, knocking people out, to the wrestlers, to Rashad Evans, and these guys that would just grapple you, and Mark Munoz will just grab you and hold you down. So Brock is one of those grab you and hold you down guys, and so in that evolution of UFC, because UFC has had phases, he killed it.
Yeah, that was the predominant style, and
he killed it,
and you couldn't beat it. It's the same way that you look at like junior middleweights a lot of times, there's just a run of them, and there's a style, and then as kind of champions come and go, and then they go up in weight, they kind of change that style, they evolve.
Oh, they kind of have to. I mean, you look at Floyd back when he was fighting at 130, 135. Then he goes up to junior welterweight, 142. Then he goes up to welterweight, 147, and he's not knocking anybody out. They go, well, he's weak. It's like, the dude's a natural 135 pounder. Now you want him to go here and knock these dudes out that are walking around at 158? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys. So when he went up and fought Cotto, when he went up and fought these different guys, he wasn't killing them, which is why there was something special about Manny's shakes. Because Manny was still knocking dudes out. Yes, Manny had a lot of shakes. And I don't know what's in them, I just drink them. Well, take this blood test. Oh no, I'm scared of needles. Whatever, I'm sorry, we went on a boxing tangent. But Brock is great at what he does. What he did in the ring today, or the hell in the cell against Taker, was entertaining as hell. Would you call it underrated?
I'd say just about right. Okay. I mean, it's a phenomenal match. Again, it's so great to see that 10 years going forward from this, he's the guy that takes the Undertaker's legacy and helps elevate both of them into the stratosphere. And this is I would say this is the equivalent of WrestleMania 6.
Okay, I'm with that. Here's the thing, though. If he's the same thing we talked about with Becky Lynch the other day. If he's capable of this, give me more of this.
Sure.
It feels like they just rest on their laurels. They get a little lazy when they're the top dog, which is why you have to, and forgive me if I tangent again, you have to keep making the next champion. Jim Cornette said it well in his podcast when he was talking about FCW, because of course he ran Ohio Valley and FCW was doing their thing down in Florida, and he says one thing that he did differently is that he was constantly building the next guy, because the WWE would constantly take the star. Whoever your main eventer was, they would yank him away, and you had to have somebody to fill that spot. That is the design of any good wrestling promotion, but I feel, especially with all the talent in NXT, I feel like they're not doing that, because they're burying the call-ups, and it's killing me. Another thing about Cornette real quick is he talked about FCW's results versus OVW's results. And if you look at OVW, the people that he helped make:
Orton, Cena, Batista, Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin,
Brock, Lesnar.
I mean, that's just, the set of hands that I have here that I can think off the top of my head.
Biggest stars in the company in the last, let's say, 20 years.
Oh yeah, and then you can also just talk about all the women that it went through there as well, including all the stars that were in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, and this is not a Cornette love fest, but if you compare those guys and the way they drew money, the way they cut promos, the way they worked in the ring, versus the guys coming out of FCW, I'm not saying that OVW was better. Actually, hell, I am. I'm saying OVW was better. Mm-hmm. They were better trained, and they were built in a way that is more of a throwback, which, of course, Cornette is. You look up throwback to the dictionary, there's a picture of Cornette with a racket, right? But I wish these guys who have this training and this background were helping to build the next generation, sure. Which put it on Vince, put it on the guys, whatever. But come on, man. Becky Lynch, we just watched a fantastic match with her. Mm-hmm. Great. Brock Lesnar, fantastic matches for days, but they're both kind of phoning it in lately. So enough out of my tangent, okay? Let's reel it back in and let's talk about, well, do you have anything else you want to add about this match? Mm-mm. You want to gig real quick so you can be part of the Blood Fiesta?
No, I'm good. I don't want to get a HEP collection.
I understand.
I don't. That's a 3-piece collection that I don't want.
For sure. Everybody but the ref. I love that. That was a great line. But tomorrow is a special day. Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell the people why it's a special day?
Well, it's the high holiday of 420.
420. Now, for a person who has not partaken in the greenery for almost 10 years, it is not a big holiday for me. However, it is a big holiday for you. Maybe we should save it for tomorrow. I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow.
I think we should do that.
But you know who else it's a big holiday for?
Who?
Rob Van Dam. So tomorrow's underrated extravaganza match features RVD himself. We're not even going to tell you who he's wrestling yet. You got to come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock so you can understand exactly what's happening and find out if it is indeed underrated, overrated, or just right. So ring the bell, hit the subscribe button, and bring your butt back tomorrow for a special 420 edition of Make Me a Fan. Is that fair?
We'll see you all tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Yes.